Hello there.
Morning.
How are you now?
So there's nobody signed up to do any demoing, so this may be a very short call. I guess we'll find out.
I like the podcaster look, Seth.
Thanks. Yeah, it's very confusing. I'm at a friend's house and he works from home and clearly does a lot of audio stuff. So there's like a mixing board here and like
And then big
there's
mic
like
there.
2 mics with input, and I don't know if I have it set up right. I can hear everybody, I think, so that's okay.
Tess, you might perform for us something because you look like a singer. So probably
I feel like
start,
that. I don't
start
think I
doing.
go along with it, but I have all the equipment for sure.
Yeah, you do. Do you sing at all?
Not really in front of people other than my kids, but
Oh, okay.
did when I was younger.
Okay. Nice look anyway.
All right, it is 8:02. Does anybody on the call have anything to demo? The other thing about this setup is that he has like an Ergodox keyboard, so it's ortholinear and it's has like the space and control and delete and all those buttons in different places and unmarked. So I am struggling so far.
We can hear you well. Like, is your friend a musician or something? Or what does he do?
Just as a hobby, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a software engineer.
Oh, okay.
He works for Lightstep actually.
Which company?
Lightstep.
I
So,
don't know this.
yeah, it's a monitoring company, pretty young, I don't know, a couple years old.
Oh, okay.
But I worked at New Relic with him. All right. Well, should we call this meeting early then? Cool. Thank you for dialing in, everybody. I guess next time we'll do a better job of trying to make sure we get people to sign up beforehand and see if there's things people can demo. And in general, like you can demo anything, even if it's not close to being finished, progress that you've made or some interesting thing you found.
Well, I mean, I guess I could talk a little bit about, I mentioned this to Reuben the other day, but I use Pronto for running rubocop and brakeman on my, and rubocop, I guess when we run it on CI, we run it for, every file in the system. But if you run Pronto, it just runs it on your on your changes. Let me see if I've got
I see.
something. It's super simple to run. If anybody, all right, let me share my screen. See how this works with. So it's just pronto help. You say pronto list the runners that you have. So here I've got brakeman and rubocop defined. There are, oh, I'm going to see, hold on. Sorry. See if there's anything going on over here. So I've got, I don't know why I've got that changed, but so I can run pronto run dash dash unstaged. Let's look at this right here. So he just runs and he says, "Oh, hey, you got this. You got space missing space after a comma." So, and he obviously ran that a lot faster than rubocop would have done if you run the whole thing. And he knows what. So let's see if I can go to this line and fix it. Yeah, so there's my space there. I don't know why he gave me two of the same things, but if I run him again, should be all good. Well, no, it's just, oh, maybe I had two on that same line. Yeah, there it is. And we don't run Reek or anything like that, but Reek was another thing that took a long time to run, and it was really nice to be able to run it just on the commits that you had rather than anything else. So Pronto's easy to install. Jim install Pronto, and in your directory, and then rubocop, pronto rubocop, and then pronto brakeman. And there's a bunch of other, you know, CI thingies that it does, but so you can run it on unstaged or on staged or on a commit. I don't know what this guy's going to say. I don't think he shouldn't say anything. So anyway, pretty interesting. I like Pronto.
Is that something you would add to the pipelines over in GitLab?
Excuse me?
Is that something you would add to a pipeline?
I run them. I run it locally just to make sure that it reduces the number of linting errors that I have that comes back from the pipeline. But if we wanted to save time on the pipelines, I'm guessing it would probably save a heck of a lot of time to run rubocop on the diffs rather than rubocop on the you know, rubocop dash dash parallel on the whole code base, you know. And there was another thing that, oh, and Pronto has some capability of like adding comments to your EMR, but I haven't looked to see if it's GitLab approved or if it only works on the other service. So anyway, yeah, it would be fast if we wanted. And another thing is, as you go through and change the rubocop config file, and it'll potentially cause a whole bunch of infractions throughout the rest of the code base. And if you wanted to change that and not have to deal with all the infractions that got generated throughout the rest of the code base, Pronto would be a good solution for that, because it only works on the, this developer's diff. So however many infractions you had, and then just in a little bit of code that you're changing. I like Pronto. So that's part of my workflow. Sometimes I don't run it, and every time I don't run it before I do a push, the linter gets me, rubocop gets me. So I just do it every time. So that's my, contribution. Pronto.
Nice, thanks.
If you like, I can show a small issue that I was working on last week.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let me share my screen. Can everyone see this issue?
Yes.
Okay, so there was a bug opened by a customer saying that custom metrics form shows a 404 error. So that's something like this. Request failed with status code 404. Now, the thing is that they were saying that they have a Kubernetes cluster, but still it would show 404. So while checking, I found that the form shows a 404 unless you have a Kubernetes cluster with environment scope star. So the problem was that this was not documented anywhere, and nobody was aware of it. Actually, I don't think we were also aware of it. The only way I figured it out is by checking the description in the tests. So I'm actually not 100% sure, but that's what it seems like. That it was a deliberate decision to have the custom metrics form only use clusters with environment scope star. So that's clusters which are designed to work with any environment. So so Kenny sir decided that it's sort of a bug and an issue and a feature. It's not just a bug. So the bug was that it's not communicated that you need a cluster with environment scope star. And the feature is to have custom metrics work with any cluster of any environment. So for this bug, the only fix that we made was to have this text shown next to the custom metrics section and add a little bit documentation to the docs, which is linked over here. And I created another issue for allowing the custom metrics form to use any cluster. So another interesting point here is that the custom metrics form doesn't actually need a cluster for custom metric to be created. It only requires a cluster to validate the query that you enter in the form. That's the only reason it requires a cluster. So I could show you what happens when you create a cluster, but that'll take a lot of time, the creation of the cluster. So I think that's it.
But
if anyone has...
just for clarity, so clusters can be assigned to instances and as well as groups and projects, right?
Right, yeah.
And I think, so I think we haven't tested a few of the edge cases, at least that's my experience so far, that we haven't tested a few edge cases when we connect to these different levels of the instance.
Yeah, probably, because the group level cluster was added recently, and I'm not sure when the project level, the instance level cluster was added. So yeah, there might be edge cases that we haven't tested. There was one thing that I was thinking about was what happens if the only cluster you have is a production cluster, and you open a custom metric form, and say we implement the feature where the custom metric form can use any cluster. So you can effectively type a query into the custom metric form and have it execute on the production cluster. So I don't know, does that sound weird to y'all?
On the execute on the production Prometheus, right?
Yeah, production
Yeah.
Prometheus. Yeah. You can't make any like writes using Prometheus queries. You need the admin API for that, which you can't do through the custom metric form.
Mhm.
But it could increase the load on the production Prometheus. Not sure if that's a problem.
Yeah, depending on the data that comes back. I mean, a lot of data can come back from
Yeah.
Prometheus at times, right? Yeah. I need to know more about that.
Yeah, so that's it for me.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Reuben. All right, we'll make a last call for any more sharing. All right.
All right.
Thanks for joining, everybody. Have a great weekend.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.